Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, all you Minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at all of these collected editions coming out from Marvel Comics this week. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of all of these books. All these books are due out in the direct market and book market on November 19th or 20th, depending on where you get your books. So we are looking at a Marvel Masterwork. We are looking at a new Epic collection. This is a modern Epic collection. We're looking at a mini-series for a big event, another mini-series that kind of takes place during one event, but I'll explain what that means here in a little bit. Ongoing series over here. So as always, I will leave timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're wondering about one or two titles. And always, before going any further, smash that like button, please. That goes a long way for us here on the channel. Very small thing you can do, but it means the world to us. Okay, my goodness, we got a lot of Spider titles. Spidey, Spider-Girl, Jackpot, and Black Cat. So let's actually begin with one of those. Let's talk about The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 11. Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, Volume 11, going green. It's crazy to think that we have 11 volumes of Zeb Wells' run already, not including the Dark Web event, because it feels just like yesterday that I was talking about the Nick Spencer run in trade paperback format. So, man, time is just needs to slow down a little bit. All right, so here we have issues 50 through 54 of Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Zeb Wells era, 168 pages and retailing for $19.99. This gives you a quick recap as to what's happened previously in case you're not familiar with the events that are about to happen here. But again, we are collecting a big anniversary issue with issue number 50, so keep that in mind. And issue number 50 of the 2022 era of Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, so before I go any further, though, I do need to warn people in case you haven't read what previously happened in Zeb Wells' run, or who this guy named Paul is, that a lot of people don't like, a lot of fans of Spidey, especially Spidey MJ. Just in case, spoilers going into what is happening here to kind of give you the pitch of this. All right, so in the previous issues of Spider-Man, we've had the living brain. It is being studied at Oscorp, and one of the people that is studying them is none other than this gentleman right here, who used to be, of course, the Lizard. That's right. We have a lot of characters that are going to be showing up through these series. So they are studying that living brain, and the living brain has hacked into Oscorp and has given like a pass to Peter Parker. It's giving them a code, or giving him a code, to get into some special hidden doors at Oscorp. And this is when it becomes interesting to see exactly what's been happening in the past, because we've seen the Spider-Man character become the Spider Goblin in the past because of the Goblin formula. Well, that's what's happening here. That Goblin, the Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day, the Goblin formula is still in his blood, even though they were able to turn him back into Spider-Man. Well, Norman's been keeping a little secret too, because there's something going on perhaps inside of him, that perhaps he's not a good guy, or as much as people like to think, that he's not just the Gold Goblin, but perhaps the Green Goblin still resides in him. So that's what this big anniversary issue is. It is the fight between the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man. And it is all drawn by Ed McGuinness. Yes, Zeb Wells is writing it, but you have Ed McGuinness drawing this, Mark Farmer, Todd Nogg. Todd Nogg actually coming in with the backup, or the pencils for the backup stories. And then you have Joe Caramagna doing the lettering, and Marcio Meniz doing a lot of the colors here. But there's the big fight between these characters. Now, because of what I mentioned, that the the Goblin formula is still residing inside of Peter Parker's blood, well, it is unleashed here. And a lot of it has to do with the living brain. This is the Todd Knox stuff right here. And we do have the return of the Sinister Six. So you have Mysterio, you have Vulture, you have Kraven the Hunter, you've got Dr. Octopus, Electro, and Sandman coming back here. But, I mean, there's also the supporting cast of Spider-Man that will show up here. Because if Spider-Goblin has to go up against Green Goblin and has to go up against the Sinister Six, he's going to need some help. By the way, one of the things that I noticed here, I think it's issues 52 and 53, if I'm not mistaken. And I very well could be, but memory serves me right. The covers... Nope, I was wrong. Must have been 51 and 52. The covers look very similar, so I got a little... I got a little bit worried that, oh no, it's been printed twice. Because the covers showcase... Okay, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe it's not these covers. I thought it was 52 and 53 where it's like a zoom in on that pose right there. That obviously being the... Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's kind of similar. So 52 and 53. Very similar. And homage, of course, to Amazing Spider-Man 300. The black costume. And then, of course, 301 was the return of the classic costume. You've got the return of Wreck Rap here. You've got, like I said, the supporting cast of Miss Marvel and the Living Brain now calling himself the Walking Brain, J. Jonah Jameson. And will Spider-Goblin be able to defeat the Green Goblin? And is it really all lost? Like, does it mean that Norman is forever going to be the Green Goblin? Well, you could find out by reading the rest of the book. That is the pitch. There is stuff here from the 50th anniversary, focusing on Spidey and his other friends, all written by different creators and drawn by different creators. And then you've got some of the variant covers in the back here in thumbnail size, and some on the opposite side of the regular covers. And again, that is The Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 11, Going Green. Star Wars, The High Republic, Phase 3, Volume 2, The Hunted. All these numbers can get a little confusing, but I mean, you're smart, right? You're smart people. You read comics. You know Phase 2 goes after Phase 1, Phase 3 goes after... You know, yeah, okay. There is a little tie-in right here with the Acolyte, even though this takes place a century before the Acolyte. They've been doing that since Volume 1 of Phase 3. And we are back to this era of the High Republic. So we are going to see some characters return that we haven't seen since Phase 1. And, okay, so I guess before opening this up and going any further outside of that title page, spoilers for what's happened previously, just in case. So I got to give you the pitch as to what's going on here. And here you have the credits. Kevin Scott, Jim Tao, and Laura Braga, Marika Cresta, and Phil Noto doing the cover art, lettering by Ariana Mayer, and Jim Campbell doing the colors. Here's your quick timeline when this takes place: the High Republic, before episodes 1, 2, and 3, before episodes 4, 5, and 6, and definitely before episodes 7, 8, and 9. You know, somebody told me just recently in the Saturday stream that the era of Star Wars they're going to focus on after they finish this next round that takes place after, of course, Empire Strikes Back, and before Return of the Jedi is going to be before, after, and way after. So it's going to take place like before the trilogy, the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, before episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then after episodes 7, 8, and 9. I've not heard of that, but that's really cool. All right, we are going to see some returning characters. We're going to see some flashbacks. Remember, Phase 2 takes place before Phase 1, but Phase 3 goes back after Phase 1. That gets a little confusing, but you'll know when you see the return of Keith Trennis here. She's not the only character that comes back. Now we have this gentleman right here. This guy comes back a little bit older. This is Tay. And of course, you know, you got a little flashback here with his friends like Vildar and the connections that he had with those characters and what ends up happening and how he kind of gets involved with Keith Trennis and her group of folks that are all part of this series right here that's going on at the very beginning, because you have Jedi Master, because she is a Jedi Master now, Keith Trennis, coming back with the rest of the crew of the, what is it, the Ataraxia, I think, and now they're here in the Nihil zone, and they're searching for Sakir, which is her Jedi Master, and they found him. However, he's changed. They found him in one panel, and now you have Tay playing a big part in this. You have the return of Tarek and Seret, but they're not alone. They're accompanied by somebody else, Orbelin and Monshi. So all of them are back, and they're trying to figure out what happened to Jedi Master Skier. Can they bring him back? And now they're teaming up with characters like Tay. And one other character that joined in the previous volume, and you still don't know whether to trust or not, and that is Lorna Dean. So she ends up joining this cast. Now, I'll let you find out how this ends or where it continues. And there is another story here of Kilnaka. And it is a story that is set in the past. Well, you have it started off here in the present day, where you have this Jedi Master that is looks like he's in death's bed, and he ends up getting recruited to become the Padawan of Master Kilnaka. And this is their adventure, set again in the past. And then what ends up happening to this character and Kilnaka, and that is a character I didn't see because I didn't get that far in Acolyte, I'll be honest, that apparently appeared in the Acolyte show. All the way in the back are the variant covers, but not all of them because some of them are in between issues. 144 pages, this one retailing for $19.99 and collecting Star Wars High Republic Phase 3, 5 through 8, and then Star Wars The Acolyte. That one shot that we saw. The Kilnaka one shot. It's Dracula Blood Hunt. However, Dracula Blood Hunt is not the only miniseries that is collected here. Here we have this collection of stories that are taking place a little before Blood Hunt issue 1 and then during Blood Hunt. So collected in here is Dracula Blood Hunt 1 through 3 and Union Jack the Ripper Blood Hunt 1 through 3. And here's all the credits. Kevin Scott writing this. Kev Walker. I love Kev Walker's artwork. It's so good to see him. Danny Lohr writing the stories here with Vincenzo Caruto. And color over here by David Curio and Joe Sabino doing the lettering. And over here is Java Taglia doing the colors and Travis Lanham doing the lettering. So this is kicking off this storyline where Dracula is, first of all, fighting the character of Bloodline, Brielle Brooks, the daughter of Blade. Now, if you have not read Blood Hunt, this will spoil who is behind that darkness that is succumbing the world and making vampires just strike out everywhere. So this has the count. This has the countdown right there, sun death. Right before the sun death, and then during the sun death, when the entire world is now in darkness. And what happens here is they first fight, of course, but we know because of the events of actual Blood Hunt, what happens later on, that they both team up to try to take down the person responsible for all these vampires, these new breed of vampires that are coming out. So there is a fight here with Daredevil, because perhaps he's part of this prophecy. And then this leads directly into one of the issues of Blood Hunt, in case you haven't read it. If you're like, wait a minute, when did this take place? So if you've read Blood Hunt, you know that the character of Dracula and Bloodline end up teaming up together. And they go on a side adventure. And a little bit of it is here in these pages. Now, the next story arc really changes things up. So here is the story of Union Jack. However, this is the new Union Jack. This is not James Montgomery, but this is Joey Chapman. And this all feels like a horror movie. I love it. This is him teaming up with some humans. Well, he's himself human, but he has powers. Although I love the fact that they don't really acknowledge how great of a superhero he is. They're like, well, you know, he's not an Avenger, but at this point, I'll take him. So it's Mara, Alan, and a bunch of other humans that are stuck in this hospital, and it really feels like a horror survivor type of story. Whereas over here, you have, you know, badass characters teaming up. When you got Dracula fighting other vampires, come on. There's no chance those people are going to win. But when you have Union Jack, who isn't really the most badass superhero, teaming up with a bunch of other humans, a cop, a nurse, it just, survival instincts kick in, and you really start feeling for these characters. Now, he's not alone. There's somebody else that he brought with him looking a little bit different, and that is revealed in issue number 1. It's not much of a spoiler, but it is the character of Bulldog, and this is what he looks like now. So he has been taken over by the vampires. So what exactly happened to him? Why does he look like that? Well, yeah, just keep reading to find out. And who ends up surviving? Does that little girl survive? Does the cop survive? Yeah, this is a good one. I really like this. And of course, it helps to see Kev Walker back. Big fan of his art. Huge, huge fan of his art. So it really feels different, the two series that are collected in here. However, keep in mind, it is just called Dracula Blood Hunt, because he's taking the top billing. And here's your variant covers all the way in the back. And I forgot that Blood Hunt actually has a red band version of it, because the only trade I've read is the normal version. I don't know if they'll ever do the uncensored one. 160 pages, $19.99. Jackpot and Black Cat. Not to be confused with Mary Jane and Black Cat, another series that came out. This here is collecting Jackpot and Black Cat issues 1 through 4, and then Jackpot #1. This is the Mary Jane and Black Cat series that took place during Dark Web. This time around, most of this is taking place during the events of the Gang War. Here are your credits. Celeste Bronfman writing all the stories in here. Alba Glass, David Lopez, Joey Vasquez, and Emilio Liso. This also actually collects Amazing Spider-Man issue number 31. I forgot to note that. So if you haven't been keeping up with Spider-Man and what's going on, remember what I said about the Amazing Spider-Man with that character Paul and Mary Jane and all that, just in case spoilers going into this. All right, the very first thing I'm going to be talking about is what is going on with her aunt. Oh my gosh, Aunt Anna is going crazy. Well, that has a lot to do with what's going on in the world of X-Men because of the Krakoa, because of those medications that the X-Men were supplying to the world. Yeah, she's going crazy. She's going berserk. What exactly could that mean? Then we have this beautifully drawn issue. Now, something horrible has happened to Paul and Mary Jane's kids. And you can, when I say that, you're like, wait a minute, she had kids? You can find out what's going on in the pages of Zeb Wells' Spider-Man. But one of the things that's happening is that she has this gauntlet that she wears. And the gauntlet kind of works like a slot machine, that it kind of gives her random powers, which is why Black Cat tells her she should be called the character of Jackpot. So together, they both decide to team up, because in the events of Gang War, you have the character of Felicia. Both of them are really good friends here. And she is being blackmailed. This is the one shot right here that shows her fight with Electro. And then this is the Black Cat and Jackpot storyline. That one shot leads directly into this. And this is where her friend Felicia is being blackmailed, and it's up to her to try to find out who this new villain can be that is actually manipulating the social media, or maybe it's perhaps an old villain that is doing these things. But now Mary Jane is fighting as Jackpot, teaming up with Felicia Hardy, who's both again playing the side of the angels, and perhaps not just as pure as she likes to think that she is. But that's what this miniseries is about, and again, all of it taking place during Gang War, because, well, the villains that show up, it's very important to be reading Gang War, or at least be aware of who is leading what territory. But the good news is that right before issue #1 of Jackpot, they give you the territories right here, so you can see who is in charge of what. Let's go back here to the extras. 160 pages, $19.99. And variant covers, some of them in splash, some of them in thumbnail size right there. And that is Jackpot and Black Cat. All right, welcome to the, I don't really like to call this the middle of the episode, but this is the reminder to smash that like button part of the episode. And also a gander at all of these spines of the books coming out this week from Marvel Comics. All right, let's go ahead and keep going with the overview. Spider-Girl Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 5, Keeping the Faith. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This book right here gets my seal of approval, my pick of the week. Oh my gosh, I have been waiting for this book for years. Because, well, for those of us that have had the complete collections, we had a Volume 4. And we know, well, it seems like, I don't want to say 100%, that Marvel is mapping the modern epics the same way they were mapping the complete collections. So we have a modern epic Volume 1 of Spider-Girl. Hopefully we'll get a reprint of Volumes 2 and 3 of this right here. Or, 2, 3, and 4. And now we have a volume 5 because there was no complete collection volume 5. So this collects the issues that haven't been collected before in a big format. So collected in here for the first time is Spider-Girl issues 68 through 84. This book has 384 pages and retails for $44.99. Now, I do want to give credit where credit is due. You have Tom DeFalco writing the stories, Ron Frenz and Pat O'Leaf working on it, but it's mainly Ron Frenz. Sal Buscema doing the inks, Pat O'Leaf doing some of the inks as well. Udon Studios during this time doing the colors for the most part, and then Gotham, and then Dave Sharp doing the lettering. So yes, it is that time when Udon was just it was just a studio. It wasn't a publishing company. So Buzz is back, and of course, he might know the secret identity of Spider-Girl, who everybody, if you've been reading the modern epics or have kept up with the complete collections, if you had those, it is May Parker. So this is all taking place in an alternate future, but I love this future. It all started in a What If issue where Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson are married, and they have not just one kid, they have two kids. But one of them, May, of course named after Aunt May, is Spider-Girl. Took her father's identity as Spider-Man and then just made it her own. And very similar, I would say, to something like Batman Beyond, where you're going to see legacy characters, sons and daughters of villains or superheroes from the past. And again, all set in the M2 universe. So you have like the Avengers, with J2, the Juggernaut's kid. You have like characters like Dark Devil through here. You have her own supporting cast, so her own friends. Like Benji Parker. Well, no, Benji's not really a friend, but you have like Team Spider that shows up through here. Sandra Healy, Howard, and Elektra, right? Like some of these characters actually become friends with her that maybe their parents were villains. Now you still have her own villains. This is the Old Man Wolf storyline right here. J. Jonah's kid. And now Buzz, of course, has relations to that character. This is the Avengers storyline right here with J2. So what were they called? A Next, I think is what that series was called. And during this time, I'm sure you saw the cover, she is going to get a new costume. This is the Black Costume Saga, and a lot of it has to do with the character of Fabian Lamuerto, this era's Black Tarantula. And there's somebody's mother that just showed up. Lady Octopus being one of the villains. What's the guy? Handsome Richie. There's also Kodiak. But yes, this costume right here in issue number 75, all with the help of Black Tarantula and a lot of his folks, make this new costume, this new black costume for her. Now, there are ties to, of course, the 616 universe and what happened previously in that universe. So if you're used to like the stories of Venom or when Spider-Man donned the black costume, that still plays a part in this because MJ freaks out when she sees her daughter having the black costume. Peter Parker's like, why are you donning this black costume? I love the fact that you get to meet her friends. So in case you're new to the character of Spider-Girl, they tell you like, all the way in the back, like there's Courtney and this is Moose right here. So in the back of some issues, they let you know, hey, this is her supporting cast. These are some of her friends in school. And just like in the same way that they did like supervillains. Now, eventually she does get to go back to her regular costume, the one that we all know and love. There's also the coming of Venom. But is it the same Venom, Eddie Brock, as we know? Or is it a different person that is donning that symbiote costume? We get to see this era's Doctor Strange. We get to see the Queen Goblin. Not to be confused with the 616 Queen Goblin, but this Queen Goblin. And then who exactly is the Green Goblin to May? All the way in the back, we do have some original art right here, like cover art, and then I think there was an internal, yeah, there is an internal page right here. And Oh my gosh, if you haven't read this to me feels like the era of Spider-Man that a lot of people, when they think of their youth, like whenever he was single, whenever he was young, and it was just about adventure after adventure with nothing really serious happening. So obviously before issues like 121 and 122, nothing really bad happening. That's what this era reminds me of. It's just a fun story with throwbacks to the classic stuff. Not to say that nothing bad happens, because there are some bad things that happen to poor Mayday, but I will let you find out what that means. Now, there should be a total of, I think, maybe 2 or 3 more epics, depending on what they want to include, because this goes all the way to issue 100, but then there was another series after that, and then a couple of mini-series that has the character of Mayday, and man, I'd love for her to come back. Black costume or regular costume, she's such an awesome character. But yes, this is Spider-Girl Keeping the Faith, Volume 5 of the Modern Epic Collections from 2004 to 2005. Last but certainly not least is the Marvel Masterworks Werewolf by Night Volume 3, continuing the adventures of Jack Russell. So this is a same masterwork type of build as previous masterworks. This is also printed at the Donley printer. And here's your credits. You saw your title page over here. And your credits, Doug Bench, writing all of the book. And this is after Mike Plug left the title of Werewolf by Night. So you have Don Perlin taking over the stories in here, Virgil Redondo doing Giant Size 4, and Young Montaño doing Giant Size 4 and 5. Inkers right here, like Vince Colletta doing a lot of the inks. I do love when Don Perlin inks his own stuff in issues 25 through 30. And then other inkers there. Your letters like Dave Hunt and Art Simek and John Costanza. And your colorists like Bill Mantlo and Linda Lesman and Phil Rachelson, just to name a few. You do have a table of contents right here. And an introduction, Wolfing It by Doug Bench. Doug Bench, this introduction, by the way, I love introductions like this, where he's not even talking about Werewolf by Night. He's just telling you about his favorite horror movies and his favorite portrayal of the Wolfman and what was his favorite Wolfman movie. I love it. But then, yes, of course, he does talk about the comics. There are some fun facts. He goes through a series of 6 fun facts. Not just about the comic, but also, for example, fun fact of the 5 times Lon Chaney Jr. played Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, the best may well be, and then he tells you what his favorite one was. I love that. That's awesome. Because, a lot of the times the creators, they go into like the stories of like, oh, this is the reason why this happened. The delays were because of this, because this artist wasn't in town, or this artist broke his hand. And as much as I love reading that, I like when somebody just tells me all the things that they like. And then you can see a lot of the heavy inspiration, because there is a lot of that happening here. So Wolfman, the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, the Wolfman that appears in that happens to be his favorite portrayal of Wolfman. And so it was a big deal for him to write this. So you had, the Werewolf by Night already meet Dracula, so here he is meeting Frankenstein's monster. And the Brotherhood of Baal is who's behind this, trying to like make Satan go into the Frankenstein monster. So that's what this big meet is about, the big fight. And then we move on to other stories. So collected in here is Werewolf by Night, issues 22 through 30, Giant Size Werewolf by Night 2 through 5. The book has 328 pages and retails for $75. So we do get some cast members like Brock through here. And also Topaz coming back. We get some new villains like this old Hollywood actor that got his face destroyed, going by the name of Atlas. You get the return of the Hangman through here. But I really like the fight here. It's a 2-parter between Atlas and Jack right there. You have his encounter with this Jekyll and Hyde type of villain, Deprave, as he calls himself. And then you get a big story arc. This is the fight against the Hangman, the return of him, who was going after Deprave. You get this storyline, and it is a long storyline that introduces this character named Dr. Glitter Knight, which is kind of a goofy name, but the story arc is really cool because it's a long story that involves family. So it's not just the story of Jack anymore, who's werewolf by night, but actually, what is her name? Lisa Russell, his sister. You still have Buck Gowen being a part of this. Taboo is still a part of this, and then Topaz. Those are your main supporting characters. But your antagonist is this guy named Dr. Glitter Knight. Now, what he's doing with Liza is that he's changing her not into a werewolf, or helping change her, really, but she is changing into a weird demon. So there is a fight here between brother and sister, this issue right here, where he gets to fight her as this weird demon. And I like how he handles that and who ends up helping him. There's the giant size issue here with Morbius, which has been collected in the pages of Morbius, the Omnibus, and the Epic collections. And this is the Plunder. Yeah, this is the Werewolf by Night. The Peril of Plain Gloss. I really like this art here. This is Young Montaño. I like the way the splash pages look. I just the details in his art. But as much as I love Vince Colletta's inks, especially here early on Don Perlin's artwork, I really like when Don Perlin himself was inking his own pencils. I don't know, there's just something extra gritty about it. It's not as clean, for example. I believe there's going to be one more Marvel Masterworks with Werewolf by Night, because it goes all the way up until issue 40, I think it's 43 if I'm not mistaken. But this is volume 3. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which series you're picking up. Do you collect all the Marvel Masterworks? Do you collect Werewolf by Night? Are you hoping one day they'll do an omnibus reprint? Or I guess an epic collection, right? Like, yeah, we could start doing epic collections of those. Are you getting Spider-Girl in the hopes that one day we'll get an omnibus? Or do you this is the way that you collect the books? If you have any questions, also leave your questions down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everybody, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.